you guys, it's Lynnea. Today I'm going to be mixing and matching some new and older products from LDRS Creative to create a simple scene card. So I'm going to be using the In the Park stamp set as well as the coordinating die set. That's new from the summer 2020 collection. And then I'm going to be using some older landscape stamps. So I have the Set the Scene landscape as well as Set the Scene neighborhood stamps. I'm going to stamp out the little houses as well as the road and the grass. So all three stamps from the neighborhood stamp set. And then I'm just using the clouds from the Set the Scene landscape stamp set. I stamped all of them with the LDRS Creative Raven Hybrid ink. And then I'm just going to do a bit of alcohol marker coloring. Now usually when I color very simply, and today is no exception. Today though, I really wanted to have smoother blends, so I am coloring the traditional way that you would with alcohol markers. I have 2 or 3 colors for each color blend, and I'm starting with my lightest for the larger areas. The smaller areas I'll color a little bit differently, but for the larger areas I'm starting with my lightest and coloring the whole thing with the lighter, then going in with the darker and the medium, and then blending out with the lighter. It's harder for me to color larger areas than smaller ones. So when I'm doing larger areas, that's when I really concentrate on building up the color saturation. Now as I'm coloring the other areas, so like the little girl from the In the Park stamp set and the houses from the Set the Scene neighborhood stamp set, I'm only using 2 markers for each color blend. And I'm going to color much simpler. So you're going to see me kind of do that here. I'm starting still with the lighter, and then I'll go with the dark and then blend out with the lighter for the hair, but I'm going to come in with the skin tones here in just a second, and you're going to see that I go right in. I start with my dark color and then I blend out with my lighter. That gives me more shadows and more depth and definition. So if I want to have kind of those blending marks not quite so smooth and want them more defined, I'm going to definitely start with the darker and then just go right into the light. If I want to have smooth blending, like I wanted for the road and for the grass, I build up that color starting with the lighter and then working up to my dark and then working back to my light. So I used the In the Park die set to cut out the little girl on the bike, and then I just used my scissors to quickly trim around these other shapes from the Set the Scene stamp sets. I wanted to have a dimensional scene. By the end, I think I have a total of 4 layers of foam at the end of my card on here. So really this scene is going to have a lot of dimension, but I think that it's nice to kind of build up the dimension when you have a simple scene. So I'm using some foam strips just to add a little bit of dimension behind the road. I'm going to layer up my scene, and I kind of pre-planned this just a little bit. And I thought that it would be easier to work with this little neighborhood scene if it was all one piece, rather than trying to piece it together on my card. So I went ahead and added some foam behind my little road, popped that up in front of the houses, and then I'm just going to use liquid adhesive to glue down the grassy hill there. And then I have all 3 of those stamps, and I can work with them as one piece. Okay, so now it's time to start assembling the scene, and I'm just going to add some foam tape behind the clouds, and I'll start with those at the top, and then I will kind of work down towards the bottom and work my way up as well. You can see there that I took a sentiment from the In the Park stamp set and heat embossed that on the bottom of the hill. I didn't get it straight. I kind of followed the curve of the hill rather than thinking about the fact that the hill is curved, and so I needed that to sentiment kind of needed to be a little wonky to make it have it straight on my card. I hope that makes sense, but either way you can see here that the sentiment is not straight with the bottom of the card. So I just went ahead and stamped that same sentiment with some Raven Hybrid ink, and I cut that out with a die from the Practically Oval die set. So right now I have 2 or 3 layers of foam for my scene, and then I popped up the girl on the bike as well. And then I'm also popping up the sentiment die cut. So like I said, I think there's 4 layers of foam here by the time I'm done. But I think when you have a simple card, something needs to kind of give it the wow. And so for me, a lot of the times, it's dimension. I thought that white background was a little bit too stark white. So I'm coming in with a little blender brush and some Bali Blue hybrid ink. And I'm just going to add a little bit of color to that background, and then this card will be finished. I'll add some shimmer to a few of the areas, to the house, to the road, and to the little girl. But this card is finished. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope this gives you some inspiration on how to incorporate the new release with some of the older or previously released LDRS Creative stamps and dies. I'll see you guys really soon. Bye!